Welcome to Biz Dev Live. Today we're talking about raising your prices. So, are you in a position where the calls are coming in, you can't handle it, your team can't handle it, it might be time to raise prices? Are your expenses not being met by your income? Definitely time to raise your prices. What if you have the reverse issue where you're just not getting enough clients? Should you raise your prices? You might want to. That's what we're talking about today, raising your prices. Love your comments, questions. What are the issues that you're dealing with around price? Are you doing some of that negative self-talk that you're not worth it? Let me know what you're thinking. I'll try to speak to it all today on Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth. Stick with me every day at 11 a.m. I got some good advice, some good news for you. We'll get into it right after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
So if you've not subscribed to Cameron Toth on YouTube, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe today. We're going to talk about raising prices. So please let me know what your issues or challenges, whether you're viewing this later or you're viewing this live with me right now. Get into the comments there and let me know what issues you are having with price. There's also times that you would want to lower your prices. Now, most of the time, costs go up and prices are going to rise over time, especially as you're established in your business. That has certainly been true for me as my journey through owning Toth Event Staffing and running that business, founded in 2011. It was interesting, and some of the lessons I learned along the way. In the beginning, like many small businesses, I really was just concerned with being competitive and wanting to make sure as I entered the market that businesses were gonna rock with me because my price was competitive. And whenever you're getting into market, the first thing clients are gonna really hit you on is, well, hey, I'm looking for a lower cost, right? Which makes sense, right? You're going to do the same thing as a business. You're going to go out to look for services and get those at a lower cost so that you can provide more value to your clients. And you can, what I'm going to talk about today a lot is pocket the profit, right? And make sure that you're pocketing not only profit for you as an individual, as an owner of the company, but profit for the capital development of the company, which is the lifeblood of scaling an operation, not only building in profit for the owner, for the partners, but also building in profit that actually goes into savings account that is there to buy the next big step, the big investment, so you can reinvest in your company. Now, number one reason to raise prices, your costs go up. And you can see this across markets. Right now, the cost of lumber is high in the United States coming off the pandemic, housing shortage. Prices are going to go up there, right? So it's law of supply and demand. Number one reason. And this is something that I think is really important. Do you know all of the costs, all of the expenses of your business? For a lot of people, they don't. I know for me, for a long time, and in certain cases, on a day-to-day, it's difficult to tell. You got all of your hard, straight-up costs, maybe some material costs that are a part of delivering a service or a product that you're doing. But then there's these annualized things that go into it as well. Insurance costs, costs of running the office, costs of taking care of your employees, right? There's so many different costs that can go into a business, and how do you apply that to each product each service that you offer over time. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. We could break out the Excel sheets, right, and get down to it. And that's what I had to do. And it was interesting as I was doing this, even as late as 2017, I was doing a breakdown of cost per hour. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm literally paying more per staff hour than I'm charging. And so I had to raise my rates. And then the revelation when I raised my rates was really incredible, because as I raised my rates, most clients didn't bat an eye. And the ones that did, most likely, most of those clients that really had an issue, they were the clients I didn't really like working with anyways. They were the more challenging uh, of my clientele. And so you go to the Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule. I was getting 80% of my profit from 20% of my clients, and 80% of my problems from another 20% of the clients, and those didn't exactly align, right? So the people that I was having issues with weren't necessarily the people that I was making money with. So it really helped my business. Susan Castelli, thanks for tuning in. Before raising your prices, check to see if you can fine tune the cost of your expenses. Certainly. Hey, Luann, how you doing? And every purchase should be shopped. Yeah, I mean, I think so many people are pretty efficient in finding their things. That being said, I do go to the local stores and I see they're using outdated credit card machines that I'm pretty sure that company is charging them an arm and a leg for this outdated piece of hardware, and they haven't really updated. So that sort of speaks to the idea that, yes, maybe you shopped around the first time, maybe you didn't shop enough around the first time, but are you going back and looking at your expenses? And looking at your pricing can be a little bit of a soul search for your company, and really helpful to the overall health of your company as you look at justifying, is this the right price? Do we actually have to pay these expenses? Can we look at this? But if you're not doing that work on a regular basis, you can be left behind. Your competition could go ahead of you. As you're looking at the services that you provide, I have a very service-based business. We send out staff. It's a very payroll-heavy service. So if you're not looking at your expenses, you don't know what it's costing you, it's very challenging to look at price. And then chances are, especially if you have time and reputation built up in an industry, chances are you can take advantage of raising your prices. And another big reason, right, beyond the cost to raise your prices is demand. So many companies get caught up in the do less or do more with less, right? We got more and more work, and so they're pocketing that profit and forcing their staff to do more work. But that's not a long-term strategy. And so the companies that last, what they'll do is they'll raise their price so that they can deliver more value while providing less actual work or less client work, so that they can continue that word of mouth that got the phone ringing in the first place. And so you don't want to build stress into your day. You don't want to burn yourself out, so that raising the price thing can be a place where you can actually get some equilibrium between the amount of phone calls and requests that you're coming in and the work that you and your team may be doing. So it can be that filter that helps you. And then another great reason to raise your price could be, are you priced too low? Do people not respect you because of your price point, right? So all things to look at. Expenses, number one, you don't want to lose money in your business. Number two, demand. Are you burning yourself out by continuing to deliver more services at this price point when you could really be raising your price and create a little bit of a filter for the clients that you really want to work with and deliver strong value to, right? You only have so much time in the day, especially a very, very service-based business, right? That kind of thing. And then are you priced right for the market that you want to be in? So 3 great reasons to raise your price. Now, I know I'm going to get to these comments. Susan, thanks for commenting in here. Some buyers don't look at the whole picture of what you are providing. Absolutely. Costs to be checked yearly. Yeah, I would look at costs Ideally, once a quarter, at least, I would say. Costs, depending on the business that you're running and how much of an eyeball you have on things, but things like insurance rates, that might be an annual thing. Maybe that's something that you really shop around for on a yearly basis. But certainly, different things that you're bringing into the business, depending on how many, where your supply chain looks like, looking at your costs, looking at your pricing on a quarterly basis, just so you can spot the trends and create a plan before there's an issue, I think is ideal. When I say that, I don't always do it, but certainly annually, like you're saying, Susan Castelli, absolutely. I think for those that know a few entrepreneurs, know different people doing stuff, we probably know people that have gone a few years, depending on what year you're talking about. Last year, COVID, I think everybody was examining everything with the way the world was changing, but we certainly know a few folks out there, I certainly do, that probably haven't reviewed their stuff in a decade, right? Depending on the kind of business they're running, and they're lucky they just haven't run into more challenges. So when should you lower your prices? Is there ever a good time to lower your prices? Now, I think a lot of people's instinct, if they're not getting enough business in, is to offer deals, offer discounts, offer incentives, carrots, right? The only time to me that it really makes sense, and we can see good examples of this all the time in retail, is I have product that's sitting on the shelf that's actually costing me money in terms of storage and moving things around to actually keep the product in house. And so what I want to do is I want to set an attractive price point for this product or material to get rid of it. And then you can even see some brands really interesting. Pink, the company that makes very fancy shirts and ties, they don't even want to get into that discount place because of the way that it affects your brand. So really look at that. But you can see certain companies, if there's a way to offload something, you're sending it over on the retail side to TJ Maxx or something like that. You're just having a company. There's lots of different ways to work that angle. If you have excess supply, you just need to get rid of it, lower the price to get it down. Also with evergreen products, and this is a great part of people's funnel, right? Maybe there's something that you have worked in terms of providing a service, a workbook, something that is very easy for you to distribute, doesn't cost you a lot of money, is something that you could almost potentially give away for free, but you could make a little price on it. Maybe it's on your website for $25 or $30. Hey, consider, hey, this is something that we would love to offer you, right? I can lower the price there. So there's two places there. I have a product that I just want to get it off the shelf, or there's literally something that really doesn't cost you a lot of money and you just like to sell more of it, which at the end of the day is going to just add to your bank account rather than taking away anything by providing a discount or a lower price. I hope those were helpful. I love your question and comments. I'd love to hear about situations where you're feeling like, well, maybe that doesn't exactly work for you. I really think, especially if you have time in your industry, it's time probably to raise your prices, have confidence in that, give yourself less of a workload, more of the profits to enjoy, not only for your personal bank account, but for the bank account for the business, so that you can provide capital expenditures, so that you can actually scale and build your business into something that is larger than it currently is. That is the way to get it done. Again, I hope this was helpful. Love your comments, questions. Susan, thanks for checking in. Luann, thanks for checking in. I will see you tomorrow. I have an amazing guest tomorrow. Really looking forward to talking to Sabrina Myers. Check in tomorrow. It's going to be a great interview. Ask your questions. We're going to get into it. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C. Brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C. Brought to you by Cameron T.